Hello, how lovely to see you. My name is Charlotte. Pleased to meet you. Do you like stories? I'm here to tell you one. It isn't made up or from a book. It is a true story about something that happened to me and the people I know. It happened back in my time, in the year 1918. Our country is still at war, and I'm helping take care of the men who are fighting. Telling you the story was my friend Veronica's idea. She keeps a scrapbook full of her old photographs and drawings. She says in years to come, people like you will want to know our stories, and we mustn't let them be forgotten. Do you like my uniform? Can you guess what my job is? That's right, I'm a nurse, a special kind of nurse. Perhaps you recognise this badge, the badge of the Order of St John. I have been volunteering for the St John Ambulance Brigade, and I am a VAD nurse. Have you heard about VADs? Do you know what it means? It stands for V, voluntary, not paid. A, aid, help. D, detachment. We can go anywhere we are needed. VADs. Years ago, even before my time, even before this war, people were so afraid that if there was to be a great war, there wouldn't be enough doctors and nurses to help. So VADs were formed. There was a time when I hadn't even heard of war. I didn't know what soldiers did. I didn't know anything about it. But then I heard the stories in the newspapers, armies marching, war declared. I saw the posters, a man pointing, "Your country needs you." Boys queued up to sign up to fight. They thought it would be an awfully big adventure to go overseas and be a brave soldier. I saw the boys going off to fight. My little brother Freddie and my cousins Henry and Harold and some of the boys I used to dance with. Everyone knew someone who had signed up. They pulled on their boots, stood proud in their uniforms. They marched to the sound of cheering crowds. And all the while they were singing. And I can hear them still. We watched them go. We waited and waited, and they did not return home. And Christmas came and went. Not much news could get through about what was happening. We grew afraid and worried. We girls wanted to do something too, to play our part, to go and help, and not just sit at home and wait. But what could we do? In my time, women couldn't take up guns and fight. Then I heard about the St John Ambulance Brigade and how they needed nurses. This was my chance. I would help. I had my training first to get my certificate in first aid. To think, I was once afraid of a drop of blood. Not anymore. I learned basic things, how to bandage and put on simple dressings, and a little about cooking and cleaning too. At first, I liked meeting the other girls best, making friends. It all seemed like a bit of a game, practicing on each other, larking about. But all the while, we were learning things, preparing ourselves, although we didn't know for what. Not then. I completed my first few months as a VAD nurse in this country. Then I heard VAD nurses were needed to go overseas, as there were not enough professional nurses in all the soldiers' hospitals. I was so excited. This was a chance to see the world, to learn new skills, make new friends, a chance to travel, a sense of an adventure about to begin. We would follow our boys into battle, freedom. But it wasn't like that. Not at all. At first, we were so excited. We had to make our way here to London, to the St John headquarters at St John's Gate, if we wanted to sign up to go overseas. It was March 1917, spring. I could see a vase of yellow flowers in a windowsill. We skipped along under the arch, our feet rattling on the cobbles, heading towards the famous gate, knowing we were all in it together. An army of, not fighters, but helpers. I made my way up these stairs and signed here at this very desk. Looking at it now, I seem to see the ink splodges and scratchy names. This is where I met Veronica. She was just in front of me. When we signed up, we were given a letter by the head of the VAD movement, Catherine Furs. I heard this voice reading it out. That was Veronica. The letter said, "Give generously and wholeheartedly, remembering you are giving because your country needs your help." Then she saluted and giggled, and I knew then we would be best friends. Well, it all happened so quickly. Before I knew it, we were on a boat, waving goodbye to England, to the white cliffs of Dover, and hello to France. We were packed onto a train, and Veronica, who was sitting next to me, said, "Are we off to Paris?" Paris indeed. We arrived by train at Étape, or Hospital City as everyone called it. There were so many hospitals there, but ours was very special and the best. Look, can you find us on the map? Just there on the banks of the estuary. The only hospital entirely staffed and paid for by the Order of St John. It was such a triumph, the largest and best equipped, such an achievement for the Order. We were jolly proud to be there. Even the Queen Mary, came to visit, although I didn't see her. Too busy, I'm afraid. We got the patients from the front line of the fighting and looked after them till they were sent home or back to fight again. They counted the number of men we looked after. Over 35,000. Most of us had never worked anywhere at all, ever. And oh my dears, what a shock. Of course, now my hands are work-worn. But then, gosh, I didn't know a thing about the long hours and hard work. We had a housemaid at home for all the chores. Suddenly, I was the housemaid, making beds, cleaning wards with that awful soap, carbolic, making breakfast, washing up, skivvying, Veronica called it, and she was right. Of course, the ordinary nurses were used to all of that housework. We didn't like it at first, those trained nurses knowing more than us and bossing us VADs about. We thought they were jolly rude. We thought we might be treated differently. After all, most of us had had quite good educations and had come from larger homes than they did. In war, that doesn't count for much. So we rolled up our sleeves and got our hands dirty. We were there to do any kind of hard work that was needed. The nurses, they didn't think much of us lot. They laughed at us with our simple skills. But we got used to them and saw they had had much more training than us. I learned a lot from those girls. Veronica and I shared dorms in a wooden hut, talking and laughing long into the night about how much we had to learn. Oh, we were terrible nurses at first, she wouldn't mind me saying. But we became friends. And I seem to see her and the others standing here in front of me now. Our hospital was right beside a railway line. I shan't ever forget the long, low whistle. All through the night, the trains slowing down and dropping off the wounded soldiers at the side of the track. There would be no warning for the nurses when this was going to happen. It could be any time of the day or night. Once, 57 stretchers suddenly turned up at 2 a.m. We had to leap up out of bed. We could hear Veronica stumbling about in the darkness, knocking things over. That woke the rest of us up all right. We pulled on our boots and out into the darkness. Stars, little pinpoints of light. The moon watching over us, squelching through the oozing mud. The faces of the men looking up at us with hope. In a terrible state, some of them, bruised and bloody, scarred and scratched, eyes sticky, the faces of war. I felt as if I could cry, but I had to be brave. I had to be strong. That poor chap might be my little brother or yours. I had to smile, to listen, to hold a hand, to give comfort, to be that little piece of home, to smile and listen. That was as important as all the medicine in the world. We had to patch them up as best as we could and leave them back there on the side of the railway line for a train to come along and pick them up and send them back to fight. Men who could barely stand up. Sometimes I didn't think they were well enough. But that wasn't my decision to make. Off they went. I sent my prayers with them. It could be very difficult. But Veronica, she wouldn't let us be sad for long. She was always thinking of ways to make it fun for us. She put on concerts and plays. I was in one too, if you can believe it. Look, can you find me? Veronica played the Fairy Queen, of course. There she is, cross-legged at the front. She wrote the stories, designed the costumes, even made the set. Some of us dressed up as clowns and queens. Veronica, she painted St John's Gate on the set. We could escape into silliness for a night, and the patients, they could laugh just as if they were at home with their loved ones. But then after the applause faded away, that sound came again. The clickety-clack of the trains upon the line. And our work began again. And that was that. War hit us at Hospital City in a desperate way. The Germans started to drop bombs. And soon they came. Little whirring balls of fire. The huts shook. The sky bright with flames, which guided more aeroplanes and their beastly bombs. The fire alarm sounded. No time to dress. We pulled on our coats over our pajamas and used wash basins as sort of helmets. We rushed outside, dragging in the wounded soldiers to take shelter. No time to panic. We all worked together. But the Germans seemed determined to destroy our wonderful hospital, returning again and again. By morning, they had done it. Destroyed everything. Our wonderful hospital, all in ruins. we thought our work would end there that night. Remember what Etap, Hospital City, looked like before? This is how it looked after the bombs. Our wonderful hospital, all in ruins. I shall never forget those days. We feared that was it, that we would have to give up. Did we give up? Would you? Look, you see this 8-pointed cross? Perhaps you are wearing one right now, and you know what it means. It means we help. We will never give up. We didn't then, and we never will. You know what our motto is and how important it is. The motto of the Order, in the service of humankind, wherever it is, whoever it is. The whole hospital picked up and packed up the coast to Trouville, where it reopened. There are still more that need our help. Veronica went with it, and I was sent back home to London, and now telling you my story. But my heart is still there, and still with the friends I made. And always I shall hear the long, low whistle of the train upon the tracks. Now you know my story, and you wear the 8-pointed cross. You are part of this wonderful organisation which does its best to help. Thank you. We couldn't do it without you.